The Beach FM Business Lunch Show, brought to you by PlaceMakers Kapiti Horowhenua. Together we're building New Zealand.
Welcome back to the Business Lunch Show on Beach FM 106.3 with Damian, and let's talk retail now, and let's welcome into the show Coral McLean from I Love Labels and Parapara Umu. G'day, Coral.
Hi, Damian. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you doing at this time?
Well, it's exciting. It's an exciting start to the day, really. I mean, tomorrow's the big day. Retailers can open their doors again, and the community is ready. I think everybody's had enough of being shut away, like naughty children. I think we really want to get back out into our community and talk to people and see how everyone else is doing, and just enjoy our life a little bit more. I think we're very spoilt. We're used to having a lot of freedom, and when things like this happen, it really does flick you on the end of the nose a wee bit, and you have to take note.
That you do. Well, let's hear your story now. You've been in, you've had the shop for, is it over 5 years now? But your story in retail goes way back.
I started in retail back in 1980. I grew up in Motueka with my mum and her family, and I moved back up here because my dad's family are from Kapiti Coast. So I moved back up here in 1980, finished high school, came to Wellington, attended Polytechnic, did a national certificate in retail, because, let's face it, when you're from a small town and you hit the city, everything is like, wow, wow, wow. So you just want to have a go at everything, Yep. So I decided I like the idea of retail, and it's a great way when you're young and new to a city to meet other kids that are in your same position, really. Lots of my friends I still keep in touch with that we met back in the day of retail. I worked retail on and off for a lot of companies that no longer exist, companies you wouldn't remember, that's for sure, but I'm sure a lot of the ladies my age would. There was a company on Lambton Quay called Peacocks, and that was back in the day of Michael Beeder as well, Beeder's Fashion, which was, the very smartest shop pretty much on Lambton Quay. Right. And of course I could only press my nose against the window. I could never afford to buy anything in there, but it certainly gives you something to aim for, and you've got to have that. Absolutely. So I worked up in retail, and at that stage the DIC had just been renovated and earthquake-proofed, so it was quite a flash place to work. Kirkaldy and Staines was right next door. DIC is where Harbour City Centre is now. Right. It was great. I really enjoyed it, and basically went on from there to work in hospitality as well, which is, again, great when you're a young person. You meet lots of friends, and the majority of us were all from small towns. We came to Wellington, for the bright lights and excitement and adventure, really. Yeah, that's the one. And that's, I still hope kids do that. But, of course, it's a bit tougher these days. But, and then, of course, I did a stint in Auckland and worked in Auckland in television and loved that. And then came back to Wellington, got back into retail. I think it's like a favourite toy. Once you've done it, and you do other things, you look forward to getting back into it because you come back into it with fresh eyes and you can see how your market has changed and what people are actually wanting. Women are notorious for wanting something, and when they get it, they don't want it. So, or they wear it, once and then decide they don't like it anymore. And, and I've been guilty of that. I think a lot of women have, much to their business horror. But, from there, basically, I moved up here and married my husband, Peter. And we got into the pub trade. So he was from he was a publican. He had owned hotels and run hotels before. So we did a few years away down in Kaikoura and Picton with hotels. Wow. And then we came back up here. My husband now has a very busy painting business. And I was working in the city, commuting backwards and forwards. It shines off after a wee while. By the time the weekend rolls around, you're pooped. Yep. So I thought, there must be something up here I can do. And having worked with reasonably sort of high-end fashion, I thought, women up here are pretty snappy dressers, and they have to go all the way into Wellington and spend all that money on new things when really I have found a few little treasures in pre-loved shops. And I know pre-loved has a bit of a stigma for a lot of people. We don't like going into shops like that. They smell, everything's everywhere, I don't want to be seen going in there. And I thought to myself one day, how hard would it be to make a really pretty, nice shop, just like a normal dress shop, but everything in it is good quality pre-loved clothing? How difficult would that be? As it turns out, not that difficult, really. But what you've got to do is really let your friends and your business network know that this is what you're doing and that you're really looking for good quality clothing. And before long, boxes of it were arriving. I was getting phone calls, people saying, well, you can come to my house and go through and pick what you like. I've had enough, or, I've put on weight, or I've lost weight, or I'm starting a new job. I don't wear these clothes anymore, or this isn't my life anymore. I'm retiring. I'm looking after the grandkids. I don't need suits anymore. So my business really, from the day I set it up, has gone from strength to strength. And I believe certainly in these economic times, women are shopping smarter. They still want to look nice, but they don't want to buy a $600 dress anymore. They would rather come to a store like mine and look through the clothing and think, you know what, there's a beautiful Ashley Fogel dress there. It's obviously everything that comes to me has to be hand washed or dry cleaned. Once I get it in the store, I also steam it and it's professionally presented. So everything is in very good condition. You can buy a beautiful cashmere coat for under $250. I would challenge anybody to find a good quality designer label coat with cashmere in it under $200 anywhere. Wow. So it's really about finding something that is good quality. Price is what you pay, value is what you get. So I believe a lot of the women here, my age, older and younger, are looking for those little pieces that no one else has. They want something that's not on the racks and there's 20 of them.
That's the one.
You want to look smart, you want to look nice, but you don't really want to have to pay full retail anymore. And I think that's a little bit of a quandary people find themselves. I mean, of course, if an occasion comes up and you can't find anything, in a pre-loved store, which I would find hard to believe, but if you couldn't, then you could go to a full-price store, obviously, and buy something that's brand new, of that season, and knock yourself out. But a lot of the clothing that I get bought to me has been items bought for weddings or special occasions.
One-offs.
That isn't the norm for that woman to wear. She will buy it to wear to look nice for the other people that she's going to, the event she's going to.
Yeah.
And then she'll probably hang it up and never use it again, which is a waste, Bring it to me and I can on-sell it to someone who will also wear it to something fabulous and love it as well.
Awesome.
So being a consignment store means that you on-sell.
When you did set up the business, you knew a little bit of everything. You knew you retail. You knew how to talk to people with the television and the radio in your background. What were the early learnings of a business? Those things that you didn't know as a business owner.
Pretty much everything, really. I mean, it's a very interesting concept, opening a business.
Yeah.
It's the old saying: just because you're a great baker and you love to cook for your friends doesn't mean you should open a bakery. But for me, it worked out really well because I love clothing, I love fashion, and I love being of service to women and making them feel good about themselves. There's enough stress in the world now and enough things to trip you up in a day. I love it when clients come back and they've bought pieces from me before and they love them and their friends compliment them on them. And they think, oh, wasn't I clever? I bought that and I love it and it looks nice on and it only cost me, $99.
Amazing.
So everyone loves a bargain. But the proof is in the pudding, I guess. When you set up a business, you think you know everything. I would say, if you can, get a mentor or someone who has been in business or who is in business to sit down with you and actually go through what you will need to look at from a financial point of view. You must have a plan financially. Yep. You can't just kind of wing it,
no.
Unless you're exceptionally good and the timing is right. But you need to know what your customer is going to want. You can have the best product in the world in your mind, but if your customers aren't buying it, then maybe not. So you have to make sure that what you've got is relevant, that there's a market for it, and anything you don't know, learn. It's not that hard. I mean, I'm, the wrong end of 50s now, but IT to me is just, way above my head. I can do basic stuff. I do my Instagram and my Facebook, which I think is essential in business now, absolutely essential. If you have a website, even better. I'm going through that process at the moment. So I'm finding that incredibly interesting, but I can see why I was never an IoT expert.
Definitely. How was business before COVID hit? How were you tracking with your store?
My business was growing month on month
Wow.
against each year. So, I was really happy.
Yeah.
My husband is a figures guy, so I would take the books home to him and he would look through it. And I would always say to him, is there anything I need to be doing? And he'd say to me, well, always look to improve your business. But he said, you're doing all right. So, I think, it's never going to make you rich. And I think don't go into business thinking it's going to make you rich. Go into business because you love it, because you believe in it, and because there's a market for it.
Absolutely.
The money will come.
Absolutely. How have you pivoted through this time? Have you had to adjust in any way due to lockdown?
Absolutely. Before we went into lockdown, I was on Facebook and Instagram. But given that women still like to spend money, it wouldn't matter if they were locked away, 20 foot underground. If they had a phone line and a credit card, they would buy. So for me, it was a matter of, okay, this is a bit of an enforced push to go online. So as of tomorrow, my business will be online, which it will enable people from outside the area who maybe come here to visit family or come for holidays, who have come into my shop and said to me, do you have a website? Because we'd like to keep up with what you're doing. We don't live here. So I think if you want to expand your business out of the area and become a little bit better known and have more customers from outside the area, a website is the way to go. So I've been working on that, and that's been an ongoing work in progress. There's an awful lot to setting up a website, especially when you have over 700 items in your shop. I haven't taken photos and put them all up, but it just gives people a taste of what I have, and it generates interest, and that's what your advertising should do. It should generate enough interest for people to either phone you or come in.
Those are some great tips for anybody listening out there pivoting during this time. Hey, what do you think is next for the retail industry in this area, an area that has been growing profusely in the last few years?
I think retail is going to be totally different. Yeah. I think people, women especially, are going to be still wanting to shop, but you do get certain age groups that don't like buying online, and I do understand that. But, when you find a company online that suits your body shape and you don't mind the prices and it's easy to navigate on their website, or you get very good customer service, then you tend to go back. And that's, I would say, with any good business. I think probably for a lot of retailers, it is going to be hard. Of course, they buy in thousands and thousands of dollars worth of stock every month or every few months, and they have to pay those bills whether they sell the items or not. So, it's my business is slightly different in that I sell on behalf. So anything that doesn't sell either gets donated or handed back. Right. So, but I still have expenses. I still have rent, I still have power, I still have FPOS, I still have insurances, which you must have. All those little things that when you're setting up a business, if someone was to say, right, sit down and write a list of what you believe you'll have to pay for, you'll probably be way off the mark. The Waimanga down in Porirua runs a very good business school down there, which I attended. It's really, really good. If you want to go learning a little bit more in-depth about things, it's like an onion. You peel away at things and you come out of it with eyes like saucers thinking, God, I didn't even think about that. So, I would recommend to do that. Everything, is free. You don't have to pay for it. So it's a really good thing to go into if you believe that you want to go into business. When I attended the course, I think it was 5 years ago, 19 of us, I believe, started the course, and I think maybe 10 or 11 graduated. Wow. So, it's not for everybody, but I would say stay the course. Just stay really positive. If you believe you can do it and you've got something that you know is good and you are behind it 101%, go for it. Absolutely.
Coral, I think we've all learned something from you today, and not just about your business, but about business in general. So thank you so much for those words of wisdom. Lastly, the question I ask is, how can we find you? How can we get in touch?
We are down at Raumati Village. We're in Margaret Road, which is just off Raumati Road. But we're a thriving little village down here, and there is amazing little stores. So many customers that have come in from Wellington that come up for an afternoon or a day. By the time they sort of wander into me, all they can say is, we had no idea there were so many cool shops down here. We're going to pop up here again, Yeah. I think people think it's a little one-horse town, but, we have sushi here. We have a fantastic vet centre. We have lots of ladies' wear shops, interior design shops. We have a fantastic bike shop down here that services all the bikes. We have a wonderful menswear shop here. So, we have enough here to keep us all quite busy and enthused for each other. And it's lovely seeing customers coming out. The last week, people have been walking past and tapping on the window as I've been changing the window, saying, when do you open? We can't wait to come in. So it's lovely. It's encouraging.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. Go well with the opening back at level 2, and may your success and growth continue.
Wonderful. Thanks so much.